Behind every amazing flavor is an amazing human who has perfected their craft. Welcome to Flavors Unknown, a behind-the-scenes look at new flavors and the chefs, pastry chefs, and bartenders who create them, with your host, Emmanuel.
Imagine a place where you can listen to trendy chefs and bartenders sharing their secrets behind the scenes, where they are talking about their paths to success, where you can get tricks from the kitchen or from behind the bar. In fact, you can get it all here on my podcast, Flavors Unknown. I am your host, Emmanuel Roche. Thank you very much for listening today. Every other week, I interview chefs, pastry chefs, and bartenders to discover their secrets behind the scenes. Today is episode number 12. And as usual, you can find the show notes at flavorsunknown.com. Click on the episode page. Today, my guest is Sam Mason, the pastry and ice cream chef, the mastermind behind Oddfellows in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and soon in Boston. A series of stores offering premium small batch ice cream with a daily changing flavors on the menus. Hey, hi, Sam. How are you today?
How are you? I'm good.
I'm really excited to have you on Flavors Unknown.
I'm very happy to be here on such a cold day.
Exactly.
I don't know how you got here on such a cold day. I would have stayed home.
No, I wanted to have the chance to interview you, and it's kind of a premiere today because it's the first time I'm doing one face-to-face.
Yeah, live. Well, I guess they're always live, but this is more intimate.
And at least I see the people like in front of me, which is, you,
right.
Which is cool.
You see all of our silly facial expressions.
Exactly. Sam, I'm really intrigued every time I come to your store here in Oddfellows in Brooklyn or the one in Manhattan. There's always crazy combinations that you are coming up with. But 80%, about of like the ice cream industry is like vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. So how do you come up with those strange flavor combination like chorizo caramel ice cream or miso cherry or blending tobacco and smoked chili and huckleberry?
Well, like you said, a majority of our ice cream is going to be vanilla and chocolate and strawberry, pretty much Neapolitan, separated Neapolitan. But I mean, we obviously make the crazier flavors because I make them because of, for selfish reasons, I think. I make them for myself and I hope that people obviously enjoy them. But for the most part, I think I go out of my way to engage myself, I think, which sounds awful, but you know what I mean? It's like, if I like with the chorizo caramel, it's something you see, you see chorizo, you know what chorizo is, you can render it and get oil out of it. So then I gravitate towards trying to make an ice cream out of it or a mayonnaise. That always was something I would make as well.
What got you interested in pastry and ice cream? Because I believe I read that you don't really like too much sweet stuff, as a personal taste.
I don't gravitate toward to sweet things, desserts in general. I went to culinary school for pastry, but it was mostly because back when I was a kid, 150 years ago, the pastry side was the artistic side and the culinary side was pretty straightforward. Nothing had really moved in decades. So it was always like, it was a little more critical. It was obviously a faster pace, the culinary side, and pastry was a little easier. Not easier as far as technique goes, but easier as far as pace went. And the plates were a lot more, they were more artistic. Nowadays, the culinary stuff, and I say, you know what I mean when I say savory and sweet. But now the savory stuff is taking on a lot of the pastry techniques and they have the same aesthetics.
So you started your education in pastry in Johnson's Well, correct? In Rhode Island?
Johnson Wales in Providence, yeah. It was only 2 years. It was enough, I thought. I think it's mostly learning what all the equipment is and some basic techniques and stuff that I'm sure I needed in life. But I look back and think I would have rather spent a bunch of money and went to Spain and worked for free.
Okay.
Probably would have been better. But, hindsight's 20/20. Okay. I did, however, get right out of culinary school and work for the greatest chef to ever walk the planet. So that was my kind of like school of hard knocks.
Okay. So can you tell us which chef you have spent time with?
I guess I left that part out. Jean-Louis Paladin. He's just recognized.
Sounds French to me.
He's very, very French. Very French. He was so French, he smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh boy. Gauloise, Gitane.
Yeah. He's known. I mean, just people just, when they hear his name, they're very impressed. I got to work for him. He was like a father to me. He taught me everything. Everything I learned at that point was from him.
So what did you learn from him?
It was mostly the appreciation for food itself. I can still hear his voice in my head whenever I try to take a shortcut. He was just a purist. If he was making risotto or something, I just remember seeing, he would get his face would be so close to that pan of risotto because he was just watching every grain of rice, and his glasses would steam up, and it was just, there was no shorts with that man. I remember he used to yell at people. He yelled at everybody. I watched him yell at this cook once. We were very busy. Like you never had enough time. He would come into the kitchen and change the entire menu for the night. And you'd be like, oh, great. I don't have any of that. But, we were always rushing around. And, family meal, you just try to get some food in your stomach because you're going to fall down if you don't. And I watched him chew out a line cook once for not appreciating the food that they were eating. Like, just piling it on a plate and trying to eat it. And he lost his mind just because he couldn't wrap his head around eating that way, like not appreciating the food that was going in your body. And I was just like, you can't win with this guy. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But like, that's just the way his head worked.
Say, who are the other chefs that you spend time with?
My first job out of culinary school, actually, before John Louis, was with David Burke.
Okay.
At Park Avenue Cafe, and Charlie Palmer at Oriole.
Okay. Did you spend time as well in France and La Durée with Pierre
I
Armé?
went to La Durée, yeah. John Louis sent me there.
Okay.
John Louis knew everybody who was French. I worked for Paul Liebrandt at Atlas, and Rocco DeSpirito at Union Pacific. And, God, I'm old. And then Wylie. I think that's it.
So what would be your advice for a young kid once interested to be in culinary or pastry and so on? You just said before that you should have maybe spent more time in Spain and less in Johnson Wales. I mean, do you think that it's good to have a basic, like, at least education, culinary or pastry education, and then go into a stage? And
it is good to have that, but it's amazing what they charge for it, And I don't think I've had a very charmed life as far as food goes. So it's hard for me to talk to this, but I just don't think people care about, culinary school diplomas. I mean, maybe in hotels and stuff and that kind of hierarchy, but I feel like you got, no matter what you have, whatever piece of paper you have, resume, whatever, you're still going to have to come in and show what you know.
So, but how do you start with the first one? Who is going to take you for the first time?
That's what I mean. You have to, that's why I'm saying if you end up in a Copenhagen and you're willing to work for free, almost anybody will hire you. Hell, some of those places don't even hire you for free these days. You have some real world experience in some of the finest kitchens at your disposal if you just have a little bit of money to pay for food and place to stay. And you can get a lot of food and shelter for the amount of money they charge at culinary school.
True.
They wouldn't be happy to hear me say that.
Okay, so and then you're talking about Wylie Dufresne, WD-50. So can you share a little bit of this experience? How was it?
I mean, that was awesome. One of the best decisions I ever made in life. I'd gotten out of the business, kind of gotten disenchanted with restaurants, and it must have been Atlas. It must have been when I was with Paul Liebrandt. 9/11 happened and everything was kind of a mess. And I stopped cooking. The restaurant closed. So I was just kind of in between things, and I didn't necessarily want to fill out applications or let people know I was looking. So I was opening a bar, and that seemed to be the answer to all my problems. And that just was taking forever. Wylie called and he's like, and I had met Wylie years earlier in Vegas. I had introduced him to John Louis, and he opened up our New York City restaurant with us. So he was a sous chef for John Louis. He respected John Louis, but I don't think they didn't work the same way. So it was short lived, but it didn't really matter because his father had started 71 Clinton. So he had to go down there anyway, help his father out, which was obviously a great thing for him. And then, 71 Clinton was doing so well, and, they're like, oh, let's do something a little bit bigger, a little more ambitious. And across the street, lease, WD-50. Here we go. So he kept calling me, and And he really did call a few times. And I was just kind of like, I was on the fence and I wasn't super excited about, when you're out of the business for a little while, you get real lazy. And I was really lazy. I couldn't imagine, 90-hour work weeks again. But finally, he asked enough times that I guess I said yes. I know I said yes there. And we opened in 2003 and it just was a whirlwind. Like it was just nonstop.
It's an iconic name still today. When did he close?
11 years after 2003.
Okay, so 14, something like this.
Yeah.
And in the book where it came out not too long ago, and some people still talk about it. So how was it? What was your experience there?
The original crew was just spectacular. You couldn't put this kind of talent together again. And it was not accidental, but just happened to be all these people were available and in the same area. Kind of like when the Beatles started, just like, how did all these guys end up in the same town? It's like we knew what we wanted to do. We thought we knew the kind of stuff we wanted to produce, the type of aesthetics and the type of techniques. We just didn't know how to do them. It was like we had to teach ourselves. It was before anyone else was doing it, so you couldn't really ask people questions because no one knew what we were trying to get across. In our mind's eye, we had these ideas. We had to come up with the techniques, and then that's when all the hydrocolloids kind of were coming out. Thankfully, Wylie was able to develop these relationships with the companies that produce the stuff, and they were very helpful. And even though they couldn't quite grasp what we were trying to do, because the stuff we were trying to do was a little bit new to them too, they were using these things in manufacturing.
Can you give us an example?
Things like the methylcellulose. It's a hydrocolloid that they use in probably things that you don't want it to burst, like maybe pot pies or stuff like that. Things that, like Hot Pockets, things that you want when they get hot to be a little more liquid and to be gelled a little more when they're cold, but we were trying to use them in restaurant dish applications. So they were very helpful, but at the same time, it was so much trial and error. But that was also kind of the more exciting thing because I don't have a science background. Wylie, he's he can think that way, even though he didn't really have a science background either. But, the trial and error and the note taking and the diligence to try to tinker with these recipes, formulas, even, it was a lot of fun. And I think we really came up with a lot of really. So
you found your motivation there because you just talked that before kind of laziness and not doing anything, and you were kind of.
I didn't think I had it in me, to be honest with you. Yeah, Wylie, with the staff there, we all just pushed each other. It was just like, it wasn't like a restaurant where Wylie was just telling us, do this, and do this. It was, how the hell do we do this? And then we all kind of went off on our own little tangents and tried to figure things out, and then brought it back to the table and then tinkered with them and with everybody. And it was. So
you say it's like the Beatles. So who were you? John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr?
No, I was Yoko. No, I don't know. What Beatle was I? I don't know. And some of the guys we had in that kitchen, they shouldn't even been in the kitchen. And they turned around and turned out to be some of the most articulate people we had. Even the wait staff at WD50 was free to have thoughts, when it came to composing a dish, whether it be the plating process. Do you like this? No, then it didn't happen. Everyone can kind of.
So it was a collaboration?
Yeah, it was an extremely large collaboration. But at the end of the day, some of the techniques are still being used. A lot of them are still being used.
So this is when you really applied like science in your creative process at that time?
Yeah, I never used science before that. 8th grade was the last time I used science.
Nothing Johnson and Wales?
No. Baking obviously is science, but you don't think about it as such, really. That's how they shove it down your throat, but it's at the end of the day, you're just like, whatever. This was real. All the variables were super scientific at that point.
So by doing what? Reading books?
Yeah, we were reading books that were just painful science books. And now you just have to buy a cookbook, and they'll be like, they break it down for you. And they obviously Harold McGee, he was doing it. He was kind of making the layman understand, egg proteins and stuff. But these books were just like, you would have been better off slamming it into your forehead than reading it sometimes, because they didn't care where your brain was at. They were just.
So it was reading the book, trying to understand, was there.
Yeah, reading the book, trying to interpret the book, and then use it for your purposes, which weren't what the book was really trying to tell you. It was just telling you the brass tacks of how to deal with this. And that's when the trial and error, that's when we just wasted a lot of time.
So let's talk a little bit about your creative process. I want to understand where your inspiration, comes from nowadays when we talk to ice cream and other fellows.
I'm online a bit, and I kind of see what other people are doing and kind of get inspiration that way. Not necessarily in the ice cream world, but food in general. Going out to eat always inspires me somehow, even if it's one ingredient. It can turn itself into an entire composed dish. Yeah, a lot of it is just reminiscing. Every now and then you reminisce and you think about a dish you did, and it might not quite translate into what you need. It's amazing where the mind can, the thought process can go when you think of one simple ingredient. And then also, as you start to, comes back to trial and error again, you start to produce this stuff and it could go way off where you originally started and it hopefully end up in being something that's delicious.
You have something in mind that you have done, started in a certain way and then ending up being like completely different from the original thought?
You can smell the maitake mushrooms that I'm cooking right now. So they're maitake mushrooms, obviously, just cooked in sugar, water, burnt cinnamon, and vanilla.
So, wait a minute. Mushroom ice cream?
Yeah.
Where are we going here?
It's weird. When you taste the mushrooms after they're confit or candied, I should say, they taste like candy. It tastes like mushroom itself is just a good medium to hold cinnamon and sugar. They're not a tremendously funky mushroom, but that ice cream went down a lot of paths before it ended up with it's a malt maitake. So it's malt powder, malt ice cream with salted peanuts and maitake mushrooms. And that started out as being a little more mushroom centric. And then I had to back it away because you need to sell ice cream at the same point.
Okay. It's far away from vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. So where the idea came from? Mushroom. The
idea came from dinner. Eating obviously a savory preparation of mushrooms because that's what most of them are. But noticing the texture and being like, when I eat things, I always try to figure out a lot of things don't taste or don't feel right frozen. You need to manipulate everything you put in ice cream to be palatable when it's 0 degrees. So water is obviously a big pain in the butt. It was recognizing that mushrooms inherently don't have, they can have a lot of water in them, but once they're dried, they still have a good texture and they're free of most water. So I was like, if I can replace the water in the mushrooms with sugar, they can probably be a nice texture to eat frozen. I guess that was a long story to tell you where that came from. But yeah, manipulating water is pretty much everything I do in life.
And do you have inspiration that comes outside of food?
Yeah, back when I was composing dishes for a restaurant, architecture was always something that kind of would inspire me. Art and architecture, just patterns, designs, the way things fall on each other, as far as layers. Ice cream, architecture doesn't really play into that much anymore.
But the visual aspect is more and more important, especially with people taking pictures and Instagramming.
Yeah, this is still, you can obviously aesthetically, like the colors can play off each other well, but it's still going to be a ball on top of a cone.
Yeah, but you have done some interesting stuff by adding layers and textures. I remember you talked to me about this special season when you did something with
the cotton candy.
The cotton candy, yes. You did the cotton candy on top of.
That was very structural. I can see that, yeah. I should bring that back. I forgot about that. See? You remind me of stuff.
Exactly, see? And I remember you told me a story. I think it was connected to that specific concept. So if you want to describe them, that would be great as well for the people listening. But you had a story with Instagram and you had some people from Asia. I don't remember if it was Japan and so on that put something, on Instagram and then it went viral. Can you tell us about that concept and the story? Because I think they were.
Yeah, the cotton candy cone was, something. So I don't love cotton candy. Cotton candy is just sugar. I like manipulating cotton candy. Normally it really is just a mouthful of sugar, which is kind of gross. But if you add like oils and stuff to sugar, to sucrose, you can extend the glass transition, it's called. So glass transition is when the sugar melts and it spins out of the cotton candy machine, the heating element, it goes a certain distance before it hardens again. Yeah, I was, adding pistachio oils and different nut oils to the sugar which doesn't change anything but the glass transition. So you would essentially end up with a cotton candy that felt less brittle, more like fabric. It was like a cloth. So it had a little more. It had fat in it, but I don't think if you recognized it, but the texture was fatty. So at that point, we had started doing. I think it was smoked cotton candy. It was like a smoked oil that we would wrap around. A big tuft of cotton candy would wrap around s'mores ice cream. So it was like a campfire kind of s'mores thing. People take pictures. And that's something that people obviously want to take a picture of because visually it's like, wow, this is cool. And then when you bite into it and you see the transition of your teeth marks through this kind of soft cotton candy and then this ice cream, texturally, temperature wise, it's just this kind of cool juxtaposition. And yeah, I guess it ended up in a magazine. It was a Japanese magazine. And I don't know if they always hang out on buses, but they just pulled out. There was a tour bus pulled up. And let me start by saying that the cotton candy cone wasn't fun to make. It was kind of a pain in the butt. You had this huge apparatus in the back. I don't know why they make them so damn big, but it was always in the way. So you had to kind of set it up every time you got an order. I think, and they were just like, yeah, we'll take 25 of them, which was just, it must have taken me 30 minutes to make all of them. First guy is already melted by the time the last guy got his.
And they went on Instagram too, correct?
Yeah. That Instagram, I tell you, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Do you change your way of thinking about what you are going to do and to create in terms of concepts?
I mean, you try to, for as long as you can, you try not to give in. But at some point you realize the more aesthetic, the more obnoxiously aesthetic you make something, the more likely it is to be on Instagram a lot. And sometimes it's just against all your better judgment or morals to make some of these things that look so damn goofy.
In the ice cream industry, the base is really, key. So how do you develop your ice cream? Because I remember you said, hey, there's so many formulation based on the concept and you change your ice cream base. So how do you vary your ice cream base, from one concept to another? And what's key in making of, a great ice cream?
Currently, I probably have 12 formulations of ice cream that we make here. That's because, we make one base, which is the workhorse, which is, you can add a bunch of stuff too. You can blend peanut butter into it. You can blend malt into it. You can flavor it. It's pretty diverse. It's pretty, it's fundamentally, you can do a lot of things with it, but that only goes so far. Then you start introducing, for instance, the cornbread ice cream. You can't just add cornbread to that plain base. It's just, you're going to lose a lot of ice cream and it's not going to taste right. So those have to be specifically formulated for the individual flavors. So if the sugars all change, the types of sugars all change, the amount of fat can change depending on if you're adding, if it's a chocolate ice cream, you're obviously going to bring the heavy cream down a little bit, increase the milk. It's kind of a chess game. They can kind of change depending on the added flavor, which is an ingredient as well. So you have to kind of see, like, if you're going to add passion fruit juice to something or passion fruit puree, you have to kind of step back and go, okay, well, what is this bringing to the table? What do I need to do to defend, what's in this product? Whether it be water, like if there's additional water, I obviously have to bring up sugar to help with the freezing, moving the freezing point around. And that's really all it is, I guess, is moving that freezing point around, keeping it texturally the same as the other ice creams that are next to it. You can't have one that's super soft and the next one's super hard. You got to kind of think about the 10-degree scooping cabinet.
Hey, Sam, while we are here, I think it would be great if we could do a little bit of tasting together.
All right. Boom. Here we go. I got some ice cream.
That's fantastic. The magic of Sam Mason.
We have quite a few things here. Let's see. Let's start with this. This is vegan ice cream, which I've gotten really excited about lately. It's coconut vegan, which is pretty simple. Most people do coconut. We also do oat milk. We do macadamia milk. But this is magic chocolate, which is chocolate and coconut oil. Coconut caramel, which is caramelized coconut milk. Vegan ice cream proved to be one of the harder things I've ever made. It tastes more like sorbet always. It's always got like that kind of water background. So I had to come up with a lot of ingredients to make the mouthfeel feel what I thought ice cream felt like. That proved to be a little more tumultuous task than I anticipated. But I think we're at a good place now with we're actually getting ready to open the East Village shop as completely vegan, which will be awesome. It'll always have 8 different vegan flavors.
Which base you said you're using? So coconut?
Well, we use oat milk, we use coconut, and we use macadamia and almond. We have an arsenal of nut milks.
And do you see that you have to come up with different concept than the one that you use with the regular cow milk in terms of like the flavors that you associate with it, or it really doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, well, see, the thing is, most people use coconut milk across the board, which I don't enjoy because it tastes like coconut, and I don't think that plays into a lot of profiles. So we use the macadamia nut for our it's the more neutral flavor nut milk. So that's the one that we use for like the subtle flavors, the coffee and stuff like that. But for coconut, obviously coconut's perfect. Let's try something else. This is caramelized white chocolate. It has white chocolate chips in it, which are coconut oil and white chocolate, and toasted almonds.
So how did you come up with this idea?
I'm not a huge white chocolate fan, but I like caramelized white chocolate. You know, you keep put anything in the oven long enough, and it's either going to be caramelized or burnt. So this one, luckily, goes to caramel. And it's this really deep, nutty flavor, which is very unlike white chocolate.
So how do you do again? Like you caramelize the white chocolate itself?
It goes in a pan in the oven for, an hour at about 275. And it just starts to get that dark, rich color. I mean, you can't burn it. One of my favorite profiles.
And what do you have in it? What are the inclusions?
The white chocolate and the toasted almonds.
And toasted almonds. Okay. And that's all. Wow. This is really outstanding.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
You guys have to come to Odd Fellows in Williamsburg here and try that.
This is one of my new favorites. It's just toasted sesame, but it's got a Nutella in it and like a sesame crunch, like just a sesame brittle, I guess is kind of the closest word. I like that one a lot. There's a little bit of cardamom.
I got that. I love cardamom. It's a big flavor, at the moment. And you have a big hint of cardamom. That's absolutely delicious.
Once again, it's like they're not always the best sellers.
So how did you come up with that concept of blending those ingredients together?
I mean, that to me is a regional thing. Like obviously sesame and cardamom, they play well together and in their traditional senses. I think this all probably came from a Kulfi flavor we were doing for a while. Are you familiar with Kulfi? It's so I think I started to narrow that down. We got really stuck on that condensed milk kind of vibe. I think that this was just a natural next step was to do a sesame flavor.
With all those interesting, crazy combination that you have, what are the most popular, of those flavors that are less your mainstream flavors? You remember?
It's weird. It's like you can't even predict it. Sometimes you think something's going to be a total just lost leader and it hits its stride. I don't know. It depends on the clientele, which changes a lot, and each shop is different. One shop will move sesame and one shop won't. It's neighborhood and clientele who some people are just less likely to gravitate. They'll get to vanilla. They won't even try anything else. They came. If you know what you really want, you come in, you just ask for it. You don't even have to try it. Some people will sample the entire case and then pick something that they wouldn't have thought they would have ever got. The good points of sampling is you don't have to commit to something without trying it.
And were you surprised about like maybe one thing that you have done once and you didn't know if it worked and it became very popular? Do you have an example of something that struck you?
Honestly, the chorizo caramel you brought up earlier was one that, I put it in the case. I was just like, get a load of this, people. You're going to send me hate mail for this one. And people still ask for it. So it's surprising. And some of them get like cult followings, where it's not like a lot of it, but people are mad if you don't have it. Like
which one?
That chorizo caramel for
like,
yeah.
That's
it's
a chorizo. Okay, so you have a tribe around that, asking for that flavor.
What's next here? This is the peanut butter s'mores. This is a flavor we actually made this. The band LCD Sound System. This is his James Murphy's flavor that we've co-branded. He likes peanut butter. It's a s'mores. Yeah, that one. That's this one. We like to have a peanut butter flavor in the case. We do peanut butter and jelly a lot, which they can't be together at the same time. So you kind of got to pick your battles with flavors like that as well.
It's a bit more mainstream, obviously. But so how do you include like the marshmallow piece in there? And are they toasted or?
They're burnt. We actually blow torch them. We freeze the marshmallows with liquid nitrogen so they rock hard. and then we burn them so they don't expand. They stay that shape. And then we freeze them and they end up as an inclusion. What else is this? I recently decided that we didn't have goat milk on the menu this whole time we've been open. So we ordered goat milk and now.
Sorry, hold on. You have done chorizo.
I know. We've never done goat milk.
Different cheeses.
I looked down and I was like, goat milk. Why? We haven't done that 5 years later.
After 200 flavors on the menu.
So this one's gently infused with rosemary and it gets a Concord and salted walnuts. Concord, I'm a big fan.
So why goat milk and Concord?
I don't know.
And rosemary. Rosemary
and goat cheese was obvious. Yeah. And then it needed a sweet element with some acid. And that's where the Concord, I also had a bunch of Concord. sometimes you really do look to the fridge and go, I got to get rid of this stuff. Where am I going to put it? And then it works out like this and then it's set in stone. So this is probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Basically for this one, it's, so you have a goat milk base ice cream and then you have a swirl of the Concord.
Absolutely. And the salted walnuts.
Salted walnut. And the raspberry the rosemary
just gets introduced to the goat milk ice cream and then pulled out. So it's just gently infused. And then this is a sorbet.
How is the popularity of this one?
It's insane. I can't get rid of it now. They'll hang me up.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. Here's a sorbet because we haven't done one of those yet. Lemon, ginger, turmeric. It seemed like a good cold weather sorbet. It's like sorbets definitely take a back seat in the winter. So you have to come up with some flavors that people can kind of gravitate towards. I don't know why people think sorbets are colder than ice cream. They're not. But, I guess they're water based. So
turmeric, have you worked with turmeric before?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of turmeric. There was a point when I was WD-50 when we had fresh turmeric, which I had never really played with fresh turmeric. And I just bit into it. I'm like, I'm going to take a bite of this turmeric. What you don't know about turmeric is it will stain your tooth for about 2 weeks. And I had this orange tooth that I had, no matter how much I brushed it, but turn my toothbrush is orange. I could not. I essentially stained my tooth for maybe it wasn't 2 weeks. It was a couple days though. And it was quite embarrassing because it was my front tooth. And I brought this out. This is something I made today, which we were talking about formulation. I've been trying to come up with an ice cream that's not sweet. And I think I found it. To get that texture without sugar is almost impossible because sugar is a very fundamental ingredient. It keeps ice cream from freezing rock hard. So this is my interpretation of what can eventually be. This is obviously no flavor. It just tastes like salt and cream. I wanted this is a texture experiment, but this can also be it can be the foie gras. It can be things that I want to be. I just did a dinner in Pittsburgh at a friend's restaurant where we did the entire menu had an ice cream component. So it was 6 courses of ice cream. The first ice creams obviously were very savory because they were with like squab or, the foie gras ice cream was with squab, edamame. There was a green apple bonito sorbet. So we started off very savory and then we ended up sweet. Obviously we went through the transition of salty to sweet, but I hadn't quite figured this out yet before the dinner. And this would have obviously elevated some of the savory stuff, but I'm very excited about that texture.
Ice cream business is very seasonal. So I'm guessing that you are on one end, as you were talking about the turmeric, lemon, ginger sorbet that you have, you are trying to create, new flavors for each of the season. But you have probably always as well looking at trying to do something which is counterbalance, the whole seasonal aspect. So you had one concept that was the passport.
Oh yeah, the passport. Yeah.
That you did. So can you talk to us a little bit about this?
That was something I came up with 4 years ago. It was our second year. You start to see the winners. They drop off. They're not very busy. So we wanted to inspire business, if you will. And in order to do that, we just needed to essentially create a demand. That was the passport program. We developed these actual tangible passports. They're these little folded. It looked just like a passport. I don't know. It could be against the law. And you open it up and had the monkey in it and the mascot. And, you got, every time you came in, you got a stamp, and, I'm sorry. I kind of left something out. Every month was a different continent. First continent was Asia, Australia, North America, South America. It was fun. It was fun for me because I got to, utilize ingredients I don't normally utilize or maybe have never utilized. And at the same time, it was a pain in the butt because, you produce these for a month and then you get stuck with them and the next month is a different continent. And you're like, what am I going to do with these things? So it had its inherent problems. And we'll probably do it again next year. It's just this year we decided to maybe to not do it just because we're opening the new factory.
And it became very popular. People love the concept.
Yeah. Once again, it's like I'm not necessarily going to bring these back. They're kind of one-offs, but I think a lot of them were pleasantly.
But did it do the job? That's
no, man.
Bring the sales up, and
there was a prize program. The most. You get this many stamps, you get T-shirt. This many stamps, you get free scoops. And man, we would have a stack of about 100 at the end of the year that were turned in for prizes.
So it boosted your sales during the slow months.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was the purpose of it. So cool. So you are expanding your empire, Oddfellows. So we are here in a store in Williamsburg. You have obviously another one in Manhattan on 4th Street. You have a concept which is now coffee and cream, on Hudson in Manhattan. You have another location in Dumbo where you are introducing like booze, like wine and beer. And floats.
The mothers like that. You bring the kid in, have a little Prosecco. Kid can have a little scoop.
So yeah, describe a little bit what these two concepts are. In fact, the coffee and cream and then the Dumbo one.
It is great because it generates coffee revenue all morning. And then it kind of makes this weird switch to ice cream revenue all night, which is a brilliant concept on our part. Not that we were the first one to think of it, but we are the first ones to probably execute it. Then the Dumbo shop. It's still just called Oddfellows, but it's, like you said, beer and wine. So beer floats, Guinness Stout and chocolate ice cream, wine floats. We do a frozen Riesling and a frozen drink machine. Moving forward, I think we'd like to combine both those concepts together, to where you have that coffee revenue in the morning and then always have that beer and wine kind of availability.
So both locations are going to have?
No, but I think, we're opening more shops. We have Boston coming up. We have Bushwick property that we're getting ready to turn into a factory, which is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of dumb concepts in my head that I'd like to make happen. I want to do a fried ice cream concept.
Fried ice cream?
Fried ice cream.
So what would it be? What kind of concept with
I envision it being like a kiosk in like a park somewhere where you just walk up and there's, some guy sitting in this little booth and you order your fried ice cream and you just walk around with you eat your fried ice cream. I also want to do thought of this last night. I don't sleep very much. Like an ultra premium, like a super, super high end, small, intimate shop, silly leather couches and stuff. And every ice cream is priced differently because, caviar ice cream costs more than Sicilian pistachio, which costs more than vanilla, but each ice cream is priced according to the ingredient. Because right now it's like, when you're selling ice cream, you have to, vanilla is very expensive. We sell a lot of it. So you can't, you got to kind of, move those chess pieces around in the case to make sure you're selling enough of an inexpensive ice cream to counterbalance the expensive one.
So where will be this concept? You don't know yet?
Oh, I don't know. I just came up with last night, remember?
Right.
Yeah. we got a long way to go on that one.
So you are going to open beginning of the year?
Yeah, January in Bushwood. It's 8,000 square foot factory. It's massive. The room we're sitting in is the size of one of my freezers. So I have two freezers the size of this room.
Okay. Any ambition to bring your business outside of the US, or at the moment you stay national?
It's just so hard to babysit things when they're that far away. I could see a licensing thing happening. Once we start to fine tune this concept into where it's kind of a plug and play situation.
And when is the next time we are going to see you on TV? Because you have done quite a bit of appearance, and then, there you were on Rotten, and yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're kind of working on a TV show right now.
Okay.
Which could be fun. We kind of did a teaser reel. It's more of a talk showy kind of lifestyle thing. It's not like there's no cooking. It's just interviews and stuff.
With you only or with others? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a co-host. So it's just like, we're just like this fun play off each other dynamic, and hopefully have, some
famous to less famous people. They would,
When is it? Oh, yeah. Some on your friends in the industry?
yeah, try to bring in a lot, industry people as well as bar people, as well, hospitality in general. Throw in some comedians.
When is it going to be here?
We don't know yet. We're still trying to fine tune the concept. Like I said, we've done kind of a teaser thing to where we've shown the dynamic, kind of pretended this is what we were doing. So now you need someone to pick it up and say, I'll pay for it. That's the hard part.
Okay, Sam, I don't want to take, too much of your time already. You have been very generous with it. So I have a series of rapid fire questions for you.
Good God.
Don't
What could go wrong?
Nothing. You are just a new dad now, so you experience like everything now.
Yo, man, I'll show you a rapid fire. You got to change a baby for your first time. That's about as rapid fire as it gets.
Believe me, I have 3 kids, so I know.
The distance.
So where do you go to eat and have a drink?
I don't tend to leave Brooklyn as much as I used to, which is strange, except to go see Santa Claus yesterday.
Yeah.
So I try to eat like pretty local.
Can you suggest any place to go for a drink or for,
Missy Robbins is, one of the best chefs going right now. I don't know if you're familiar with Missy. She has a new restaurant down the street here called Missy. It's in the Domino's Sugar Factory building. It's just over the top beautiful. And she makes some of the most intimate, good, like just makes you feel good Italian food. It's just unique enough, but it feels really sincere. And then that and a big glass of wine. What are you going to do?
And for a drink, perfect. Maybe at Lady J or?
Oh, yeah. I have a bar called Lady J's. I drank there quite often. There last night. I was there the night before. I tend to go there a lot less now that I have child.
Where would you be if you were not a pastry chef?
What would I be if I were not a pastry chef? You know what? As a younger man, I entertain the idea of forensic pathology. I don't know why. I don't know if I watched too many crime movies. Yeah, I thought I don't know. I thought about doing a couple autopsies.
Have you thought of writing a book?
No. I mean, yes, I have thought about writing a book. Books are tricky.
How come?
I feel like books, they have to be really great to make any money. I feel like books are something you give your mom and your grandma on Christmas. You're like, here's the book I made. That's pretty much their gifts. Every now and then you'll find a cookbook. I mean, there's great cookbooks out there who, are in their 5th run, which they're few and far between. I mean, yeah, I think they're uber time conservative. They take forever to make. I don't know. I don't know if the world needs another ice cream book. If I did a book, I'd rather it be kind of lifestyle-ish and kind of a little more all-encompassing than just like, but the publishers, when they want a cookbook, they want the recipe on this page, they want a picture on this page. Changing that model, that business model is kind of hard. That's why all the Spanish guys are doing such great stuff, because they just think about it differently. Even though not to say, I mean, if you have enough clout in the States, you can make whatever you want. So
my last question, if you would create a new flavor for your newborn son, what would it be?
Oh boy. I don't know. He's a feisty little one. I did just to sidestep that. I can't wait for the first time he eats ice cream. That's my most exciting day.
Absolutely. So which one are you going to give it to him? What was he going to experience?
I'm trying to shove every allergen in his body I can at this point just to keep him food friendly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he'll probably start with sorbet, right? That's just kind of like the no-brainer. Oh, just to see his little face. I don't even know. When can you feed a kid ice cream? I bet I can do it now, right? People just think, wait for a year. No.
So no concept, no brand idea?
I mean, for King Liam, what does King Liam get? He's going to get a Regal flavor. I just haven't decided how Regal it's going to be. He's sophisticated yet whimsy.
And he thinks a lot. He thinks a lot.
Oh man, all he does is pontificate on just life and what I'm doing, and he's good at the side eye. He's always just like.
So you have to put all of this in an ice cream.
Yeah, sass.
Okay, Sam. Thank you very much for being a guest on Flavors Unknown. I really appreciate your time and your patience.
Thank you. I look forward to see how you edit this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. No worries if you were not able to write down some information that our guest was talking about, because you can find all of those in the episode show note on flavorsunknown.com. If you have suggestions about who would be great to have as a guest on the show, please answer the question in the comment section of the contact page on the website flavorsunknown.com. I will do my best to contact them and try to see if I can get them on the show. I see you in 2 weeks. And until then, remember that people who love to eat are always the best people.
You've just enjoyed another delicious episode of Flavors Unknown. Hungry for more? Hit subscribe. Tell us where you're listening from by leaving a review. And for social media and show notes, head to flavorsunknown.com.